share a little of the stuff that I'm working on and try to make it applicable to the traditional Aikido movements. So a lot of what I'm doing now is developing internal awareness, paying attention to creating a better connection between your awareness and what your body is doing, the state of your body at any point. I know some of you have been interested in studying the fascia, working with that sort of stuff. That's something that I'm doing too, exploring that. So that's what I'd like for us to start with. So can we spread out just a little bit? All right, so what I'd like for you to do is to notice the weight of your body on the bottom of your feet, the pull of the force of gravity on your body. People that go into microgravity up in the space station, when they come back, there's all sorts of issues that they have because they've been out of the environment, our natural environment. This is normal for us, but it's a particular state of being at the bottom of this gravity well on the surface of the earth. So, ball of the foot, big toe, other toes, outside of the foot, and the heel. Try to, you can shift around a little bit and notice the change in pressure on those different points. But try to get to a point where you're kind of in balance on those. That's something I was working with earlier today because I had a little bout of vertigo, so paying close attention to where my weight was a big deal. So, using your imagination now, try to feel gravity pulling you down towards the center of the earth and whatever sort of mental imagery you'd like to use, establishing a better connection with the ground and establishing what is referred to as your root. So whatever works for you, but just focus on that a little bit. Try to get, some people like the image of like their legs sinking down into the earth, or tree roots, or whatever. So whatever works for you. And then coming up through that same channel into the arch of the foot, a corresponding upward flow that comes up through the legs and the thighs into the hips, and then drop the tailbone and let the hips tip rotate so your pelvis moves forward, and then start to develop this belt or band of fascia across the abdominal area, and in the back there's this diamond-shaped area of fascia in the lower back. So using your abdominal muscles in that area in the back, stretch up out of your pelvis. So bring your trunk up and out of your pelvis. Don't break your connection with your root, but stretch up out of the pelvis, up through the thorax, the rib cage, and the vertebra in the back, up between the shoulder blades. Let your shoulders relax, roll back, and hang off of your spine, and your arms hang off the end of your shoulders. Continue to stretch up into the cervical vertebrae and the neck. Pull the chin back just a little bit to release the back of the skull. And using your imagination, extend out the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, out through the roof and up into the sky. So those of you who study geometry know that a point can be extended into a line. So if where you're standing is a point on the surface of the earth, with one end of a line being the center of the earth and the center point of the pull of gravity, the other end extending out into space, try to align your posture with that vertical line. I suppose more accurately, maybe radial line. Right? So gravity's Aikido Sensei one time used to do a thing with a Joe, where he'd hold the Joe, that balancing people do with brooms and stuff. That idea. You want to be balanced on that point of your connection to the ground. Become aware of your breathing. Notice your diaphragm moving. And just bring your awareness to the present moment. So, moving at the hip joint, the ball and socket of the hip joint, keeping an arch in your back. I'd like for us to change position here. I'd like for us to do a bow. So, notice the change in the balance on the pads of your feet. Notice the other changes in your body as you move. Try as much as possible to just move at the hip joint. Okay? So. Okay, let's see. Let's do a few head rotations. And arm rotations. And let's do this one. Okay, now pull on your shoulder. Keep your hips oriented to the front. Pull on your shoulder and pull your torso around. And now I want you to start to release from the base of your spine. So try to release the vertebra from the bottom of the spine up through the spine. And coming up to the head. The other side, so stretch at the shoulder. And then pull around and stretch the torso. And again, try to relax, send a wave of relaxation from the base of your spine, up through your spine, relax the muscles on either side, up through the back, until you come back to a neutral position. Okay, I'm going to try this one. So, assuming that first neutral position, I want you to stretch up the back of the head, back of the neck, and the back of the head. Stretch up and over so you drop your chin down. Don't collapse. You want to extend up, out, and over. Okay? We're just going to do a forward bend. So, stretching forward. Try to move your vertebra in your upper back between your shoulder blades. Try to move them apart. So move the upper ones up and create more space. And then consecutively do that as you go down. Try not to just bend in the lumbar area, but try to get movement in the upper thorax. And then as you work your way down, you'll get into the lumbar. And again, you want to stretch up out of the pelvis. So you don't collapse down into the pelvis. You extend up out of it. The muscles at the base of the spine are attached to the psoas and other muscles in the pelvis. And the psoas attaches to an attachment point on the inside of the thigh bone, and then transfers to the hamstrings, and then down through the calf into the Achilles tendon, around the heel and across the plantar fascia in the foot out to your toes. Try to feel that complete connection of extension. Okay, we're going to release across the bottom of the feet, around the heel, up through the calves, Achilles tendons and calves, behind the knees, into the hamstrings, up through the pelvis, and then start to pull on the base of the spine and pull the spine back up into a vertical posture. One vertebrae at a time if you can. Try to keep the upper back rounded as you straighten out the lower back. Everything comes back into position, and you're in the first posture again. Okay, let's extend our arms out in front of us. Turn your hands so your little finger is facing up and your thumb is facing down, as much as possible. And then reverse that. And then do it at the elbow. Yeah. And then do it straight off the sides. All right, let's raise our hands out in front again. Now I'd like for you to focus on moving your shoulder blades as close as possible to your spine. And as you do that, allow your arms to open as far as possible and stretch across the chest, but mainly pulling the shoulder blades close together. Really squeeze it. Okay, release the shoulder blades, and then push the shoulder blades away from the spine, out towards the tips of the shoulders, as if your arms are wrapping around a big barrel or ball or something like that. And then using the front of the pectorals, push your arms closer together. Okay, we're going to do that again. So let's pull from the shoulder blades. Release, and then pull. And then engage the pecs. Okay, One more time, pull. Just to straight off the sides. Okay, please be seated. Try to do an application here. One of the things I'm really interested in, so like many of you, I haven't been training for quite a while on the mat. We've been having classes, but we haven't been doing Aikido per se. And in January, Jan Navilia Sensei came to Madison. That was the first seminar that I'd gone to in over 2 years. And the thing that Friday night, the thing that I found really interesting about the class was not Navilia Sensei's techniques that he was doing, although those were interesting, but what I was really interested in, what I found myself fascinated with, was watching my partners try to figure out how to do the techniques. You know, it was watching them study the technique and being frustrated or trying different things and different levels of understanding, and working with somebody who hasn't been doing it very much, and they have one way of looking at it, and then somebody who's been doing it longer has a different way. Everybody has their own unique approach to things. And that to me is really, really interesting, because it emphasizes the unique character that we all have as individuals, and how our mind perceives reality, how our consciousness perceives reality. Everybody has a different take on it. There may be a lot of similarities, but everybody's unique, right? So when you're training, I'd like to recommend that you pay attention to the feeling that you're creating with your partner. And you can play with the roles that you have, being the attacker and the receiver, the defender, the attacker, the person who receives the technique. And you can do a little bit of character role playing if you want to when you're doing those things. But you want to study that. Let's study how you and your partner are making this combined, let's say a combined movement, okay? And just try to study how that, what sort of impressions you're getting. Sometimes you work with people and you think to yourself, I really think this person is kind of a jerk. But that's an impression you're getting from something that's happening between you and them, right? So why is that happening? What specifically is going on that is creating that sensation for you? The way they look, their facial expression, a little hard to tell with the mask on, the feeling of their grip, the amount of force they use, all of these different sorts of things. They're all creating this symphony of sensations that is causing an emotional reaction for you. So that's something that's really, really interesting to study. And I think it's a big part of what we're trying to figure out. So, anyway, thank you. So, I'd like for you to do the exercise that we just did, where you're extending your arms forward. Yeah, hold on a second. So, extending your arms forward, and you're paying attention to your partner. You're going to reach out, and then have your partner do the same thing, and then they're going to do katate yoi. So they're going to step forward, reach out, and do connection. And then I'd like for you to try, notice the relationship of balance down through the root, under the ground, coming up and creating this connection. And I'd like for you to work with pulling with the shoulder blade. And as you do that, I want you to work really hard at relaxing your elbow. So do not pull with your elbow. Just let your elbow sink as you pull with your shoulder blade. Okay? So reaching out, actively reaching out, and then once the connection is made, pulling with the elbow, pulling with the shoulder blade, relaxing the elbow. Let the elbow go down, which is causing your partner's shoulder to go up. So the work is coming from the back and the legs and the hips. And the arm is doing very, very little. Okay? Let's try that together. Just feel what's happening while you're doing that. One quick thing before, I'm sorry to interrupt. So please take every opportunity when you're bowing to your partner to try to do a decent bow, okay? Don't be too casual about it. Thank you. And then when you go to Japan, people will like you better.
Who's out to the door? No. I like it. I don't feel my body.
And that's where the patient is in. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then just let this relax. So
If I feel trying to get that
close.
there is the backside.
There you go. Yep.
Right.
Perfect.
So, do you feel movement here? Do you feel the movement that you're doing here? Oh, okay. Right, good. So, what I feel is I feel this moving, and this is moving.
Did you say?
I can feel it coming through. It's good.
So if this is going, this is going. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, relax this. Don't pull it. Just like those women. All the pulling back there. There you
That
go.
was your best one.
No. There you go. Yep, still pulling.
Those last two are coming up through.
Oh dear. Don't do that. That's better. There you go. Yep. Can you feel the difference? Try this one. Try to get a little bit more of that too. Yeah, good. There you go. Yeah. So as your shoulder moves away, there's space created. Let your elbow drop into that space. That's the key. Yes, good. Good shoulder move. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, good. Good job.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
You're trying to pull up to the bottom, right, Sensei?
However you think about it.
You say pull back on your shoulder. That's bizarre. It's like,
So you're going this way.
okay.
What I want you to do is this.
Okay.
What I want you to do is do this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the hard part.
Don't forget this.
Just use your shoulders. There you go. That's more movement. Okay, you're still thinking about your arm. It doesn't really matter what happens with her. Okay. What matters is what you're thinking with your body.
That's good.
Like that. And as that happens, as your shoulder moves away from her, let your elbow drop into that empty space that's created. Okay?
Thank you, Sensei.
We got soccer. Yeah, we started.
Right where you are is fine. Okay, this is not about moving your partner. This is not about doing anything to your partner. That's not the objective. Okay? I know that in your head there's this paradigm of what we're doing in martial art. So I have to affect my partner. Yeah, eventually. But right now what I want you to do is figure out how to move your body in a way that maybe you're not familiar with. Okay? Because one of the interesting things that makes Aikido a really, really interesting art is it's about acting in a kind of a negative sort of way, where you don't do things, where you use the absence of something to create a situation that you want. That most of us in the West, that's a very hard idea to wrap our heads around. If we want, the box from here to there, we pick it up and we move it there, But what we got to figure out how to do is make the box want to go over there on its own. Right? Okay? So the interesting thing about this, is that if I pull with my elbow, he knows exactly what I'm doing. He can tell right away exactly what's happening. Okay? But if I can move the point of movement away from that, and I can keep my arm relaxed, if anything, relaxed more and more, it's hard for him to figure out how to fight it. At least it takes him a few microseconds longer to catch on, and that gives me an opening. So push your shoulder blade out to the end of your shoulder and extend. So you want to make a connection with your partner. You want to plug in. And then move your shoulder blade to your spine. And as you do that, That creates an opening here, more space. Let your elbow drop into that space. The reason his shoulder is going up is not because I'm lifting him up. The reason his shoulder is going up is because my elbow is going down. And for him to continue to hold on, his shoulder has to go up so he can keep his grip. So he's doing that, not me. I'm not making his shoulder go up. Right? Because he's trying to hold on to my hand, his shoulder, to keep this grip, his shoulder has to go up. Okay? So I'm getting the box to go because it wants to go. Thank you so much. Okay? Different partners, the same technique. Same form. Actually, let's do this. Let's work in groups of 3. Okay? So we got two people, Uke person and an Aige person, and then the third person. So decide real quick between the 3 of you who can do what. Okay. So one Uke person, and then the third person is going to come and they're going to put their hand on the person's shoulder blade, and they're going to say, "Do I feel you moving your shoulder blade?" Or can I see that you're pulling with your elbow? And then coach them, okay?
Okay.
Sure, which one? Oh, of course. Great. Yeah.
And this is my bad shoulder, so this is, I feel like trying not to muscle the bad shoulder. This one I am over.
I don't know if it was enough. I don't know your shoulder.
One on each side per person.
Oh, that's great.
And I'll touch your elbow.
At a certain point, though, just move your elbow.
Yeah. And the hard part is to relax that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm just gonna touch your
Yeah,
elbow. You're the
because
one actually doing it.
American males are not good at it. We can talk this, but we can talk but not walk the walk, you know?
A little bit. It looked more elbow
Okay,
than
that
it
was
did shoulder.
almost ball.
And that's gonna happen because shoulder injuries, right side.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, the thing is, right, is people who have a lot of upper body,
You didn't feel your shoulder go back.
they're so used to using it, they can't feel the joint. Yeah. You have to reorient your consciousness with what's happening in your muscles. So I'm gonna like extend out to him so I've got room to move.
That's not good, right?
And then I'm going to. Right. So the first part of it is to move the shoulder. First part of it is to move the shoulder. And then the second part that's probably a little harder. Just let this go. Even though, you know, you're thinking, oh, I want to keep them away because it's dangerous, but you really want to let it
Good at
go.
all.
You
I don't like it. One bit.
this initial part is
Not one bit.
Right.
making you engage. Whether you think I want to engage or not, I'm making my engage.
Right. Yep. That was this part about, you know, the way that you
Yes.
address your
Half turn
Yes.
body and half
So there's
shoulder.
a-
Nothing in the elbow. Nothing in the elbow. I'll take it. Go ahead. Well, the elbow and that was nothing like it.
And it's amazing, like you said, making the box want to move.
Yeah.
I don't like it. One bit.
And remember, breathe through the left eyelid. If anybody's
That's what I do. Well, that one.
I think the roads always go wrong.
I'm trying not to go too.
This angle here like this.
But to
Okay,
keep
now
this
what do you
connection
do?
I have.
Where do you feel the pressure?
Nothing, just the feeling of the body moving. I'm sorry.
Right, great. What you want to do is you want to take advantage of this motion to let this, so push your shoulder blades all the way, don't turn your head. Out first, push your shoulder blades out, and keep it soft. And extend towards her, so that you're creating an energy relationship with her. Because you don't want her to just come in and pop in. Right. So then you can move the shoulder blade this way, and as you do that, you're just going to let this
I
drop.
think we do the same thing. Making you attack me on the same shit.
So they're basically
I've run out of shoulder.
I've said that a lot.
again, it's not doing something to her, it's just trying to figure out how to do this. Okay? Yeah, sure. You can go. Sure. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yep, whatever works. Yep.
Yeah, we're not good at that. The extending out part, I get a lot better with. That's try not to let it. Right. And not.
So what does it do?
If I start to go this way.
That's good.
Let's keep this down here and up here.
Okay, you started off really good, and then you kind of ran out of gas right away and you switched over to power.
Okay.
So extend out, move this out into his grip. All right, then bring his grip back to your spine. Yes, right, and as you do that, let this drop, just let it go. There you go, yep, like that. Okay, so right at the end, you felt this pressure of his thumb on here because you started pulling with it.
Okay.
This really is just letting that go. If you let this go, they can't figure out what you're doing. Because you're just disappearing, basically.
Sally's go? Or do you have one more? Okay. Oh,
Okay. So part of this that I didn't explain very well, for this to work, you have to like engage as you extend your hand out, so you can move your shoulder out to the outside.
That's what the friendship is.
Forward part
I don't
of the
know what to
movement,
think.
so you're extending out
Hard
to
to
meet
keep
your
them.
partner, right?
right?
Like this. So now I've got room. I can feel the shoulder.
The big guy height.
I'm going.
Pure attention, pure ease. Just kind of grip my arm off my arm.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're concerned about your balance. So there's this natural tendency not to want to overextend. That's what we're trained with martial arts.
The reason my hip wasn't
Very important for you.
All right, next person.
We've been working on extending out. You're not extending out when the person comes to you, they're just, your whole process collapses. You know, you have to engage with them before they get to you, or you've got no technique at all.
The movement in the shoulder, I was like,
Yep.
sorry.
She's laughing at me.
No, I'm not, I was just enjoying the feeling of the shoulder, just.
I've given you a certain point.
Thank you, both.
So, part of the thing that we're running into, one of the challenges we're running into is it's like the way that you extend your hand out has a big role to play in how effective you can do this movement. Right? Just like you can't, if you're like here, you can't really get much movement in your clavicles because you're already back so far. So the other part of the exercise is to push forward. And as we were just talking about, as martial artists, we have to be concerned with extending beyond our effective range of motion and losing our balance. So that's a critical issue. You have to pay attention to it. One of the reasons you should pay attention to the pressure on your feet. You can tell when you're going onto your toes. But if you don't extend out, even with the friendliest of ukes, basically from a martial arts standpoint, you're already toast. I mean, they've already got you. You've been hit 3 times already and you didn't even get started. Right? So when you extend out, you have to extend to the other person. You have to extend your personality, your energy, your ka, the Egyptians would say, you know, to your partner. And you can play with different characteristics of that, you know, very aggressive or something less aggressive and welcoming or whatever, but you have to reach out to them, right? If you want to do welcoming, like, you know, as a person comes to the door, you haven't seen him in 3 years, and you stand in the doorway and go, oh, hey. You know?
Hey, what do you want?
Yeah. Right? Or something with more energy. So it's up to you. You can play with that and experiment with it. The other thing you can think about is, in cases when somebody throws a ball, you're going to catch the ball like a football or something like that. If you go like this, the ball's going to bounce off your hands, and you're not going to be able to catch it. If, on the other hand, you go like this, well, maybe if your timing is good, maybe you'll be able to gather the ball. But the thing is that you have to extend your arms out before the ball gets to you so that you can try to match the motion of the ball. It's like the thing of, Leonard Sensei knows about this because they used to do this back in the day down in Illinois. Where you get 2 pickup trucks going side by side and then you walk from the bed of one pickup to the other pickup and they're going 50 miles an hour.
Without smelling your beer.
Right, that's right.
You tell more, Sensei.
The thing is like if you're standing on the side of the road and you try to step into the pickup truck that's going 50 miles an hour, it doesn't work so well. So you've got to try to, I'm sorry, excuse me, you have to try to harmonize your motion with the other person's motion. And the way to think about that is harmonize your feeling with the other person's feeling. Doesn't mean necessarily match them. If they're really pissed off, that doesn't mean you should be pissed off too. Remember the whole yin-yang thing, right? Okay, so the other thing that was happening was that people were starting to run out of movement. So let's try another exercise. So everyone's familiar with Ude Furi Choyaku Budo, which is what Koishiko is continuing to call this. Okay? All right, so I'd like for you to stand with your feet square and shift your weight from one foot to the other foot. Again. Think about your posture. Can you kind of visualize it?
One hip doesn't work too good.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So that's fine, but you don't want to compensate for that by leaning your upper body. Okay. It's better to
Do less.
it's better to preserve your posture than to try to get your other part to get your part to move. Okay. It's better to defend the fort than it is to defeat the conquering army. Right. So stay in your castle.
Oh,
Sensei, what do you guys should
I'm watching where, yeah, well, yeah, it's telling you exactly where my body is going.
Is
Okay.
50?
No.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
Front foot
Hi.
as you're reaching up,
Hi.
and then shift into the foot.
Hi.
So that's even more power. Thank you so much.
I agree.
Thank you. I
will mention it.
Yes, but I was thinking that, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to ask. I mean, the whole class, you know, so my feelings are so different. So I feel here
Yeah.
is I shift.
Right.
So I can release this.
Yeah, but if you want to get the most elevation of your partner's shoulder, as much as you want to release this because it hurts, you've got to keep your butt down. Yes, right. Because you get your partner more elevation, your partner the lower you. That's why I don't work.
So this,
Or the other people like that. Marsha, these.
it's like, no, we're not going to shoot. We're losing fighting. So do what you can do. Geez, what a wonderful concept.
Right.
Don't give up your posture.
Okay. Okay, so all of this work that we've done throughout the class, trying to pay attention to our bodies and work with process, I want you to take all that and throw it out the window. And now we're going to do some technique. Okay. What I'd like for you to do is, I'd like for you, as much as possible, to keep working the process. So just ignore the thing about throwing out the window. Work the process, but see if you can do something with it. Okay? But I know it's going to be impossible, but to some extent, try not to pay so much attention to the effect that you're having on your partner that you sacrifice your own internal movement and balance, because that's more important. Okay? All right, play. Just a couple minutes. You guys already know the techniques. Ikkyo, Sankyo, Kokinage.
That's too, it's too easy to do.
Yeah, didn't say anything, did I?
Just have to find out. You still have room before this gets too full. Up in here.
That felt really good. Because I'm not going to do the sign field type of. But you came in like this.
Yes.
Punch right in the head.
So when we relax, it's strictly stiff. And it's okay.
It only works if you don't look at it.
So the other side of letting your elbow relax is let your fingers fall out.
Well, it's interesting that this,
Kind of the wrong way. You feel it.
I can feel the tension.
Yeah, yep, you're right. Yep.
I think when I get past my.
You can feel it, you can feel it. Yeah.
So one of the things that's happening is right now, and that's right here.
Makes sense. I'm trying to, there's too much strength.
The way that you rotate, or the way that you start this, you rotate like this, you're gonna have to go back and you put right here. So I would suggest that you start in neutral and go this way, not this way at all.
That's
A lot of flavors of Aikido.
I talk about.
Yep, yes, correct, that's great, that's a different technique, and I can tell that's
And that's what, that's in my mind. you
Yep.
know, Rather than keeping your weight underside.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so rather than raise this up, try to move it closer to your spine. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Just like this. Relax.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's it.
Because it felt like
Almost nothing, right? It's like, yeah, not doing anything.
Versus it coming from the back.
So you're saying I'm getting too much.
Yeah, I can tell. I can feel the different things.
That's good. You're pulling with your shoulder. See if you can just think about, visualize just moving that clavicle, that shoulder blade. You're doing a little too much. There you go, good. Yes, yes, right. So it's left. You gotta learn how to use left.
I got too distracted.
Internalizer.
Yeah, and less is more, you know. Yeah, sell that car to somebody else, you know?
And now I'm not
I felt a little bit, but then
You
you
should
were
be
like,
feeling like you go this way.
okay.
Because I have the spiral trying to go out that way, but I
I
wasn't
felt it
sure.
going down.
Time to get up here.
Just slightly, not much, but just slightly. Rather than dropping your hip, you're dropping your shoulder. Go on to your So I want the movement in your shoulders to be that way. Not that way. And the movement down. And you're doing that like 95%. There's just a tiny bit you're getting your shoulders.
I'm trying to compensate.
No, we got a little bit about it.
Yes.
Very nice.
Grabbing after class.
Starts good.
Nobody's leaning.
You let your shoulders.
Oh, sure.
You offer when you're ready and I see your hands.
But you do it all at once.
Answer your question.
Oh, really? Okay. Stop her when you're ready, I'll.
When you step out here, connect with your partner before they touch you, you're on the front of your front extension. And then you're gonna shift up and turn your block and shift your
That's what I'm feeling. Is that what you're feeling?
Yeah, I felt completely off. I felt like the whole body was there. It is.
Unbelievable.
The emotional feeling of what you want your partner to understand as they're walking.
Weight shifted and head back foot.
Yeah. Now, I feel that his
I just learned.
now you're stopping the through. I can't come forward. Okay, so if this is your characteristic extension down here, you should be aware of that. Yeah.
They feel that
Now you're engaging. What's that?
That was manpower.
It's okay for it to be there at the beginning.
It is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Everything you feel is better.
So then move that, very good, it's, pressure. Yeah, so move the pressure to your spine. Yes, right. And at the same time, at the same time, stop doing anything with your elbow, just let it sink. Yeah. We're breaking it down and doing more.
Go this way.
What's that?
Okay, just kind of keep them aligned.
Good.
Push.
You should have the shield right now where you feel like you have.
I thought I was gonna go chunky, but then I got it.
Then I was shield. So just on the culture.
Right, and you're ready.
Your arms are there.
Too much twist.
And I was probably, I was using my arms.
I can feel my toes
How
go.
the shape of your hand
Like that.
is affecting the line of connection with your partner. There's a big difference in that and that.
I didn't feel much of a choice but to take the other connection.
Your elbow came up.
My shoulder.
I can't go outside. I have to go that way. When I go, if I go right, now if I can't, so if this is like this, I can't go up. I have to go down.
Right,
So the initial way that you extend your hand creates a situation that's going to go determine what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna have me there? I mean, you're gonna have me? Yeah. So what you're talking about is first being something right up there?
Oh, you're there. Oh,
It's actually hard.
Okay, I know hard.
Doesn't seem like it
It was a correct one. Yeah, she was.
should, there should be bounds.
Also, a little to the outside, you're opening it. Cover your center. Yes, yes. Do you feel fairly comfortable in your
I feel like I should be on my phone right
I think you're,
No, we have not. Not the
shoulder power.
But I think,
No, no, but it's not. So your shoulders are
going almost like this.
Yeah.
I want you to hold on first, but I don't want you to.
That's fine. Sure.
Yeah.
I want you to get some valid thing like that.
Have a bigger place. Okay, this is good. Now, the thing is that now I'm on top of you here, so you're not gonna be able to recognize it. Do you feel the pressure? I know, but
Chin up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is where,
This is good. Anyway, so that way, start to move.
I got to go in some way, but I think I have not done it.
Good, good, okay, sure. Elbow is wonderful, wonderful. Just needs to move.
Can I dare not let go?
Oh, that's in this right. You really have good, that will be very good. This whole here is a border. Let's go down there. For the person touching you, don't let people touch you without that whole point of, by you starting at feeling, I see what this part here, the person touches you, never let them touch you before you're, yes, good. That's very nice.
So the little one in the wrist.
I need to go back on my back leg,
Yep.
and I need to go back.
Okay. Yeah, you've reached the point right here where you maximum
Yes.
retreat.
Yes.
You can't come
Yes.
forward if you're not in the right relationship.
Nothing else.
You can just walk around.
Yes.
Not really.
Not anymore.
Oh, I know what she-
Yeah, probably, yeah.
She woman.
What we're doing, I think we would totally collide. You know what I mean? Instead of me getting out of the way like I'm supposed to.
That's friendly.
I'm worried too much
I
about
was looking for the Sankyo. I didn't get the, I was trying to get to the Sankyo.
When you go forward, don't
I didn't even try to do anything with that. I'm just trying to get back to the.
Oh, I want you to try to show.
You feel anything?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, and back. Yes. 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 Right.
Nice, nice.
It doesn't have to be all arms. It doesn't have to be all.
Back to center?
You always have to touch your body.
Yeah, I was thinking about that thing that I was talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
So I have, as usual, overstayed my welcome.
I would expect no less, Sensei.
Ben Franklin said, visitors and fish. You may remember the saying, 3 days, that's right. As you study, if you pay attention to what your body feels like, you can learn more about who you are, because you are your physical body. And I think as you grow older, that information can be very valuable. It comes with a cost, which is that you're much more aware of pain in your body, which is just something that you have to live with. I'm not, this is not bragging or anything, but I almost never use any kind of painkiller unless I feel like I just have to do it. It's not because I'm trying to be a stoic or because I'm macho or anything like that. It's just because I don't want to mess with my conscious awareness of myself. And when you take painkillers, you're neutralizing some of those nerve impulses, which is good because then you don't feel the pain, but it's bad because then you don't feel that part of your body either. So that's one of the aspects of it. The other thing is like, if you can develop this belt, then Mike knows about this because he's studied this stuff, and Kim to some extent has studied this stuff. Some of the other of you have studied other arts. But if you develop this belt, that's good for your organs. That keeps your organs healthier if you have good tone through your midsection. And it also improves your posture. And so all of the different vital functions in your body biological processes can function more effectively because things aren't being squished and cramped and stuff like that. Yeah.
5-minute break, when you're ready.
Oh, well, sure. Thank you very much. I hope you found this interesting. There's just lots of stuff to explore. And really, I think for most of us, the real advantage to studying an art like this is what we learn about ourselves. Ultimately, because it's Aikido, we learn how to get along, which I think is something that we need a lot more of nowadays. So, okay. Let's all stand up and work on our initial posture. Hands to the feet. Extend down, create your root. Come up through the arch, into the legs, into the hips. Drop the tailbone and adjust the pelvis. Extend up out of the bowl of the pelvis. Keep reaching up through the torso and the cervical vertebrae in the neck. Pull the chin in just slightly, release the back, and up through the ceiling, up into the sky. Relax. Ball and socket joint in the hip.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you. So since I've taken too much time here, we're going to take a 5-minute break and then we'll have another class. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Hey, Eric. Thanks for nothing.
Thank you for your help.
That was a very interesting class.
Thanks for working, yeah. I'm gonna go get dressed and I'm gonna go get the beat.
You know,
Oh,
it is
okay.
interesting, as we get older, there becomes kind of a time of like paying attention to how I'm doing something like that. So, how can I slow?
It's like, if we get up and want something. Yeah. That ain't good, buddy. That ain't good. It's like, uh-oh. We went to the other side. Yeah. Yeah. So the big plus now, speaking to get out of bed.
You know?
Get one foot.
No, I find that, it's like, well, one of the things because of the pandemic, I'm much more isolated. I'm kind of secluded and stuff in my house and whatnot.
Did you?
Just completely, very long time. I did.
What's
Just, you know, when it's really on this day, it's very and when I go out, it's really a challenge for me when I'm interacting with people, I'm so out of practice, you know? And I'm paying attention, and on coming across.
Yeah, like I go by people, I'm saying, hey, how do you know we're dating or less than? Certain freaks in my head, so be very careful. Human interaction scares me back.
Do you ever, I know that you do, that sort of situation where you're trying to extend like this positive,
And it's,
welcoming, friendly sort of feeling to people, and like,
well, it's gonna matter.
they're looking at you like,
And that's why I'm asking you.
yeah.
We'll see. Oh, say that.
And,
And you'll know why.
you know, like, for me, the natural thing is to be offended. You know, like, so I have this immediate emotional reaction, it's like, fuck you.
Yeah, when you get how I.
You know, but then I realized, the second I did that, I realized, their reaction to me control my feeling.
Is it smaller than Harvard?
Hey, unfortunately, it takes something.
So there's no train there?
Harvard's big time.
There used to be.
Is there still a train in Harvard?
There's a Harvard.
Yeah.
The Marengo train station is now in the Union Railroad Museum.
Oh, dear.
They moved it there.
Okay.
But you can see it in the movies, in the League of Our Own, the League of Our Own.
Yeah, it's in there?
Yeah.
That's the Boringo train station.
Oh,
When you
that's-
made this joke about, is it the train that we're using at the station?
Yeah.
So it was great to get out. But that was the Marengo train station. You know, I went, got my sticker for my license plate. Insurance, I said, let's get some insurance on this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Go for it. But through this whole shit, every once in a while, I go out in the garage and get out and go like,
Yeah. Well, I haven't, and I don't expect to, because of three things. One, I've been driving out there even nuts when you used to steer the shit out of me. Number two, my reflexes aren't what they used to do. Number three, disregarding number one and number two, I still gotta go fast.
I know, but I'm fortunate,
You got some open roads.
I got miles and miles of country roads where the biggest problem I might have is getting behind a planter or a plow or something, right up on the roads. I got plenty of roads out there.
So where I am, it's really great because you've got all these twists and the hills and everything. The bad thing is you come around the curve and there's a pickup truck.
Exactly. That's what I learned. I didn't really need a fast car. Is driving in the driftless area. It's like, if you get stuck behind something, you could be driving a monster for a license.
We'll do that. How about that?
No surprise.
We should sit on the roads.
Yes, Hello, Sue. Thank you very much, Sue. So I like to start my classes with a quote from Sensei. This is a book
It's not going to be long, I promise.
Well, just in case, Sensei, just in case.
This is a book that Mark gave me. I don't know if the year is in it, but I started this, I've done this for a long time. Linda Holliday Sensei, who some of you might know, said, if we don't, I didn't think this was me, but she told me it was me. If we don't remember the words of Oa Sensei, who will? Use your body to create forms. Use your spirit to transcend forms. Unify body and spirit to activate the art of peace. I really have to thank Terry Leonard Sensei, John Boland Sensei, Robin Sensei, my teacher, and Mike Weber Sensei, because really I don't need to say anything else. Because they gave you and me more than enough. And they always do it, and if you've trained a long time, like I have, you probably have some of these people in your head talking to you all the time. That can get a little annoying, but it's also useful. What I want to talk about today, actually stand up. Because what I want to talk about right now is pain. John Sensei was talking about pain at the end of the last class. So who's got pain? Who's got injury? Wait, hold it. Hands up again. I want to see, yeah. Okay, put your hands down. Who doesn't have pain or injury? Okay, everybody does, right? Everybody in the room.
Does Eric count as a pain for me?
Yes. So the other thing is, so a couple of things. The other thing is, Kimmy was asking me about her chemi, right? She was asking me questions about how her chemi was. And I feel so strongly about our Aikido community. And if I didn't feel strongly before, not being able to train in person for 2 years did it. Like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I don't care if I have to wear a mask. I don't care what my vaccination requirements are. I just want to be in the room with you. Or outside with you. But, I want to see you. I want you to be able to touch me. So, even before all that, I felt like I wanted to age in my community. And that meant that 30 years ago, when I could go up and down and up and down and up and down a bunch of times, and that was fine, that's not true anymore. Now it hurts. So the question is, to me, how do we maintain our community with our injuries, our illnesses, our arthritis, our joints, whatever it is? So Leonard Sensei has been very forthright that he has cancer, right? He's going through chemo. He was gone for a while, but you welcomed him back, and he was talking about how he had to work towards being able to go up and down off the mat. Now, it's Leonard Sensei, so you just always get out of the way, right? And he's always going to have that martial aspect, as many of you do. But how do we help each other, even if we can't go up and down, right? So Kimmy, will you help me? I get to my list. So we can talk about technique, and if we need to, we will. But I want to do, let's see. I want to do this. I'm going to do a tenkan here. Let's take it. Okay? So Kimmy took really nice and tummy, and now I want to be good. And I can't fall down, right? For whatever reason, I can't fall down. Go ahead. So tenkan here. Okay. Now what I want Kimmy to know is where she's got my balance. She's got my balance, right? Yep. Okay. That's her job. My job is to take my penny and going with it and not falling down because I can't, right? Because I whatever reason, I can't. But I can go as far as to say for me, the most important part of my job, which I didn't do, is say, Kimmy, I can't fall down. So she knows. So she doesn't get to this point, and I don't fall down, and she just goes harder and harder and harder,